Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of BRB Building Your Brand with Steph and Sky. Today we're tackling a fundamental question. Is your brand identity working for you?
Yeah, so before we get started, I just have to mention, so Skylar had a really interesting week. So she moved this past week, and on day one, she got attacked by cicadas. There was a tornado warning, and there were flash flood warnings. So is this the universe's way of telling you that you shouldn't have left me down here in Florida? Or
I honestly do think that is my karma for leaving, but I do miss it down there a little bit. But the weather here is honestly kind of crazy, and I feel like no one ever really talks about it. But apparently, cicadas are attracted to vibrations. So I don't know if I was like making too much movement for them, but they're flying into my hair, and I could hear them like crunching as I was stepping up the stairs with heavy objects in my arms. So that was really fun.
that is actually disgusting. So your cicada incident reminds me of that time that you were trying to remove the bug or the spider or whatever it was from your front porch, and then something touched your head and you just completely panicked and you wiped out right in the front yard. And meanwhile, the entire incident was captured all in your Ring doorbell for your whole family to see.
Yes, if you haven't seen that video, it is on all of our socials. But at the end of the video, I look straight at the camera because I just know it's going to be, a great video. But I'm not a fan of bugs, if you can't tell. As a New England girl, I'm not used to this crazy weather and these gross bugs, I guess. But I also had seen a bunch of TikToks of people that were in their cars, like trying to go into their work office, and parking lot was just completely covered in cicadas. So I guess it's just a problem in some states right now.
Well, that's disgusting. I guess just be careful of your vibrations moving forward. So back to the topic of the day. Your brand identity is like your business's fingerprint. So it's what sets you apart from your competitors. But the big question is, how do you know if it's effectively connecting you with your audience? So it's really important to focus on your brand consistency. So visual identity is, the first thing here. So your consistency is key when it comes to building that recognizable brand. Imagine walking into your favorite coffee shop, right? The logo on the door, the warm color scheme, the friendly baristas, everything feels familiar. It reinforces the brand experience you expect. This is the power of brand consistency. So maintaining a consistent visual identity across all platforms. So that's your website, your social media, your marketing materials, even the packaging. It's going to create this cohesive experience for your audience. And then think of your logo, the color palettes, the fonts, the imagery. All of these are the building blocks of your brand house, essentially. So when used consistently, they become instantly recognizable and build trust with your customers.
I think brand identity definitely goes beyond just the visuals, though. So it's all about your brand voice and the unique way that you communicate with your audience. So is your brand friendly and approachable, like you're chatting with a close friend, or is it more professional and authoritative, offering a sense of expertise? Whatever your brand voice may be, maintaining consistency across all interactions from marketing materials to customer service emails builds trust and recognition. So imagine encountering a brand that uses playful emojis on their social media, but switches to dry, technical wording on their website. This inconsistency can be confusing and leaves a negative impression.
And we definitely know some of those. Um,
Yes.
and don't forget about the customer experience. So, brand consistency, it should translate into a seamless journey for your customer from that moment that they discover you online to their interactions with your brand. So, again, this goes back to like your website design, the functionality. The way you respond to inquiries is super important. Even the in store experience, if you have a storefront, everything should feel aligned and reflect your brand identity. And, I like to think about it this way. If a customer who loves your engaging social media post should encounter that same friendly and informative tone when they reach you, when they're reaching out to like customer service, for example, they want to see that they're getting very similar vibes from you just across the board. It's what's going to build trust. It builds loyalty.
There are a few common brand identity mistakes that we all make, but when it comes to brand identity, it's important to learn from them. So there are a few common pitfalls small businesses often face. This could be inconsistent visual identity. So using different color schemes, fonts, or logos across platforms. This creates confusion and weakens your brand recognition. Messaging disconnect. So this is if your messaging doesn't resonate with your target audience. So for example, a brand targeting young professionals might not connect with overly formal language. And then lack of brand guidelines. So not having documented guidelines for your brand voice and visual identity can definitely lead to inconsistencies across teams and departments.
Yes. So, going along with that, let's now talk about crafting those messages that are going to resonate. So, it really all starts with understanding your target audience. So, who are you trying to reach? What are their demographics? Think of their age, their location, their interests. And it's going to go beyond that too. You got to think past the basic data. So, dig deeper into their needs, their wants, and their pain points, and, what keeps them up at night? What are their aspirations? What challenges do they face? By understanding your target audience on a deeper level, you can then tailor your messaging to speak directly to them. Your brand voice, the language you use, and the topics you address should really all resonate with their interests and their concerns.
I think you also want to think about their value proposition, which is, your brand's elevator pitch. So it's a clear, concise statement that communicates what makes you unique, the value you offer, and why it matters to your audience. So a strong value proposition should be benefit oriented. So focus on how your product or service solves a specific problem or improves your audience's life. And then differentiating, highlight what sets you apart from the competition and why should someone choose you. And then memorable, keep it clear, concise, and easy to understand. So, for example, instead of simply saying we sell organic clothing, you might say we offer sustainable, ethically made clothing for people who care about the environment and looking stylish.
And doesn't that just sound so much better? Um, you also need to remember that consistency is key. So ensure that your messaging stays on point. It's aligned with your brand voice across all platforms. So from the website blurbs to the social media captions to the blog posts and marketing materials. It's going to reinforce your brand identity. It makes it easier for customers to understand who you are and what you stand for. And, imagine encountering a brand that's got this playful, humorous tone on social media. Their website is so dry and technical, and it's like, are you even the same company? So the inconsistency, it can be confusing. It leaves a negative impression. By maintaining that consistent messaging across all touch points, you're going to create a cohesive brand experience. Again, going back to the trust and recognition. I feel like we just can't say it enough.
Yes. I think we also have to look at the audience perception and how are you being perceived. So understanding audience perception is vital for any business because after all, your carefully crafted brand identity might not always translate perfectly to your target audience. So some ways to bridge that gap between intention and reality can be brand perception surveys. So they're a direct line to understanding how your target audience sees your brand. These surveys can ask targeted questions about your brand image, values, and messaging. So some key areas brand perception surveys can illuminate would be brand awareness. So do people recognize your brand? If so, how do they recognize it? Brand associations. So what words or emotions come to mind when people think of your brand? Brand messaging effectiveness. Do your marketing messages resonate with your target audience? Brand differentiation. How do you stand out from the competition? And by analyzing the survey data, you can identify any disconnect between your intended brand image and your audience's perception. So this valuable information can then be used to refine your messaging and branding strategies.
Social listening is another powerful tool for gauging your audience perception as well. So, by monitoring brand mentions and the customer sentiment online, you do gain valuable insights into how your audience perceives your brand in real time. So, it's kind of like you're eavesdropping on these valuable conversations happening across social media platforms, review sites, online forums, and more. So, what social listening allows you to do is identify the trends and topics. So, what are people saying about your brand online? What are their concerns and their questions? You can then discover, who your brand advocates and your critics are, who's promoting your brand, who's expressing negative feedback, and you can then respond to the customer sentiment. So, through social listening, it really does allow you to address concerns promptly, and then it demonstrates your responsiveness.
I think going along with that, it's inevitable, but sometimes you might encounter negative brand perceptions online. However, negative feedback can be a valuable opportunity to learn and grow from. So, some key steps to addressing these would be definitely to acknowledge customer concerns. Let them know that you hear their feedback and appreciate them bringing it to your attention. Make sure you're responding promptly and professionally. So, don't shy away from these negative comments, respond in a timely manner, and address the customer's concerns directly. And then take steps to improve your brand image. So use this negative feedback as a springboard for improvement. What can you do differently to address these concerns and strengthen your brand image? And by proactively addressing these negative perceptions, you can demonstrate your commitment to customer satisfaction, and this builds stronger brand loyalty. So remember, a thoughtful response to negative feedback can turn a critic into a brand advocate.
I think this is really important because you have like we have clients, for example, who are like, well, I don't want a Facebook because I don't want people leaving me negative reviews. And it's like, well, the goal
Mhm.
here is that you should have positive reviews, right? But you can't
Yes.
please everybody. So, open up that forum. Like, yes, of course, that you're not going to make everybody happy, but as long as people see you engaging with the negativity, obviously that's not the goal, right?
Yeah.
We want positive, but
Yeah.
negativity happens. And as long as you're addressing it publicly, we talk about this all the time, but like
Mhm.
that's so huge. And honestly,
Mhm.
like to me, that's a really important aspect of
Mhm.
like brands that I shop with. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's just really important for us to remember, a strong brand is more than just your logo, it's more than your catchy tagline. It's really going to be the foundation of a meaningful connection with your audience. So focus on prioritizing brand consistency. Through that, you'll have, crafted targeted messaging. You're going to stay attuned to your audience perception. You can then build a brand that's going to resonate. It'll attract your ideal customers. It's going to fuel your business growth. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, don't try to go at it alone. Our team here at SKC Creative, we are passionate about helping small businesses develop and refine their brand identity. And our team here, we can really guide you through the process, from crafting that brand story and visual identity to developing that targeted messaging that connects with your audience.
So I think that wraps things up for today. Be sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on our social media. So we have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Don't forget to join the conversation. You can leave a comment down below with your brand identity questions and tips. And until next time, keep building your brand.
See you later. Sorry, I'm trying to get my life in order and it's proving to be difficult this morning.